See, I know that we're trained that you're going to get a million no's. No, you might get a million no's if you're not ready. But if you're ready, if you assume the position, if you feel it in your heart and your soul, and you act as if, and you become, the world has no choice but to say yes. The doors and the pathway will open because you're so determined to get there and do it. The path is going to be clear.
When you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful.
It's your motivational speaker. Thank God it's today. Thank God it's today. Gratitude is the only attitude. All right, so listen, you got to have what I call integral delusion. Integral delusion. Here's what I mean. You got to assume the position. You cannot be afraid to move forward into the next step when you're stepping into something new, or when you're trying to portray an image that you may not actually be there yet, but you feel it in your heart and you know you want to do it. You got to move forward. You have to just integrally be delusional and start pretending and start acting like you're already that person. You're already in that position, because if you don't become that person, you will not start moving, talking, and doing the things that that person would do. Therefore, you would never have the results that that person would get. You have to immediately decide, this is what I'm about to do now. How does a person that has that act? What do they do? And you need to do it. You need to do it immediately. You have to become, and then the things will appear. Story. So I used to work at the shipyard. We working at the shipyard. Everybody's sitting there talking one time. I walk up. They're talking about ATMs, okay? I never knew how an ATM worked until this day. My mind is somewhere else. I'm probably doing another idea I'm trying to figure out, because that's all I do is try new ideas until something works, right? So I walk up into the middle of this conversation and they're talking about ATMs. Somebody knows someone with one, someone brings it up, right? So I'm listening to them, but I'm intrigued, but I'm not hearing enough to make my brain click. So as they're talking, I go on the computer and type in ATM and start reading it and realize how an ATM works. If you don't know, an ATM works just like a vending machine. An ATM is a vending machine. It's not just banks who own ATMs. There are individuals and people with a whole bunch of ATMs, just like there's people who have vending machine businesses. ATM is another form of vending machine business, right? So I'm learning this that day. I'm figuring this out as I'm reading it, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. I didn't know that. I never knew that, right? So the way it works is, instead of you replenishing your machine with drinks, snacks, or whatever, your snack is money. Your snack in the vending machine, your product is your money. So basically the machine is linked to your money that you put in there. And every time somebody comes and withdraws the money, you get the money back the next day in your account. It's basically they're borrowing the money from you because that's not their bank. And then when you use an ATM and you see that surcharge fee, that is the business owner's profit. So for example, if I put $100 in a machine, and you come to the bank, it's not your bank's ATM because it's my ATM, right? So you come to the bank and you want to take out $40. You put 40, it's going to pop up and say, there's going to be a fee. Do you mind? That fee may be $3. Let's just say for this example, right? So you withdraw my $40, but you pay $43. And the $3 is my profit. The next morning when I wake up, that $40 that you took out is in my bank account, so I could put it back in the machine. So when I figured this out, I'm on it. Because think about it. If I was to get a vending machine and buy a box of chips, when you buy that bag of chip, it does not magically appear back in my car tomorrow for me to put it back in. I have to go back to the store and purchase more chips to replenish the machine. In an ATM, the money is in my account. I simply just have to go to the bank, withdraw it, and put it back in the machine to make another $3, right? So this is something, if you never thought about as a business opportunity, that you could do very quickly. It's not that expensive to get started, and if you do it correctly, it could be lucrative for you depending on the traffic area of where you put the machine, okay? If you need to know more information about ATMs and you really want to talk about it, just click the link in the description and we'll talk about it, right? So anyways, ATMs work just like vending machines. So I find this out. I'm like, wow, my mind is blown. Now I'm intrigued. Now I'm thinking about it. Now I'm focused on it, right? You manifest what you focus on. You guys really have to understand this, right? So I just learned about this today. This same 2-3 days later, right? I have to take my car to the shop. So I'm sitting in the car shop. I'm sitting there. I just learned about these ATMs 2 or 3 days ago, but it's still fresh on my brain. I'm like, wow, I need to get one of these. Like, I don't know how, I don't know what, but that sounds too simple and I need to get in that game. I'm sitting in the car shop. They tell me that I have to wait till tomorrow to get the part I want. If I pay cash, they can get it in the next hour. Now, that makes no sense to me either. It didn't make any sense at the time. What does that have to do with the time frame? How I pay should not matter of the time frame, okay? But that's what the lady said at the desk. So I said, okay. And she immediately said, there's an ATM across the street. So when I walked out the store, I said, okay, I'll be right back. I walk out to go across the street to the shopping center to use the ATM. As I'm walking there, I'm starting to think, okay, I just learned how an ATM works 2 or 3 days ago. Why are they sending me across the street to another business, to another building to get this cash if that's their play? If they're always leading people to, hey, if you grab cash, we can do this. Why don't they have a machine? See, this is how you got to think. This is called opportunities presenting themselves, and you have to be aware and be willing to jump on them, okay? So as I'm walking across the street, I go to the shopping center, I go use that ATM. I realize it's everything I just told you. It's not a bank ATM. It is that person's business. Whoever I just walked in, it's somebody's independent ATM machine. I paid a surcharge. I'm walking back across the street, and I'm thinking to myself, how often do they send people across the street to use the ATM to get a faster service, right? So I'm thinking they need an ATM in their shop so they don't have to say, you can go across the street and use the ATM. You can go right here and use the ATM. Correct. So as I'm thinking of this, it makes sense. There's nothing else to think about, guys. In that moment, you see an issue, you see a problem, you see a solution. There's nothing to think about except, do you want to do it or not? I go back in there. I'm still thinking about this. I look around the building. I don't see nothing. I give her the money and I'm waiting. After I give her the money, I'm sitting there and I'm just thinking about this. How do I approach them? What do I say? I have no money. I have no experience. I don't know what I'm doing. I just found out how it works. That's it. Okay. So a guy comes and sits behind the counter as I'm sitting in there waiting. He comes and sits behind the counter. I hear them talking and I find out that's the owner. The owner is sitting right in front of me and I have a proposition that could help his shop and help me. Now, in this moment, most people would timidly or questionably present this to the person. Hey, do you think if I put an ATM in here, do you think if I start an ATM business, you would let me? Do you know how ATMs work? They would come timid. No. This is what I mean by integral delusion. At that very moment, he's right there. The only person I need, there's no gatekeeper. He's right there. I know the problem. I know the solution. And I know I'm willing to do it if it's in place. So I have one choice to make. Go approach this guy and tell him I have an ATM business, or sit there and keep thinking and let this opportunity pass. What do you think I'm going to do? If I don't do it, I don't mean what I want. I don't mean what I say. At that moment, I just became an ATM business owner. I got up, I went up to him and I said, hey, how you doing? He said, hey. I said, she just sent me across the street to get cash so I can get my service faster. Do y'all do that a lot? Like, how often are y'all sending people over there? He was like, all the time. I said, why don't you have an ATM? He was like, right? What do you mean? Just like me, prior to 2 or 3 days before I knew individuals could have ATMs. He's looking at me like, I'm not a bank. Like, what do you mean? And I said, he was like, what do you mean? I said, I have an ATM business. I could put a machine in here for you if you want. He was like, how does that work? I said, all I need is a power connection and be able to hook up to the Wi-Fi and a location, and I can get the machine here for you. I'll keep it loaded. That way you don't have to tell your customers to go across the street. They'll be able to conveniently turn around from the desk, use the ATM real quick, pay for their services, and I'll just keep it loaded for you. I maintain everything. I just need a location from you and the power outlet. He goes, yeah, go ahead. Now, he said, go ahead. We are 24 to 72 hours from me learning this and me saying I do this to somebody and getting a yes. I never talked to nobody else about it. I never brainstormed about it. I didn't plot on this. It presented itself. I attacked. And he said, yes. Why did he say yes? Because I was convincing. I told him, I have an ATM business. All I need from you is this outlet, and I can do the rest, and it will benefit your store and your customers, and you won't have to send them outside of this building to go somewhere else. He said yes so fast that my head was spinning, even though I knew that was the outcome I wanted. So here's what happened. After he says yes, I said, okay, give me 2 to 3 weeks to get everything set up. I'll be communicating with you. I'll be back for the next steps. He says, no problem. I'm right here. Mind you, at this time, I lived maybe 5 minutes up the street. Walking, maybe 20 minutes. I walked out the building. I didn't know what to do. I was so excited. I walked out the building and just started walking. I just started walking. Where am I going? I don't know. I just know that I have a chance here, right? Because all I'm seeing is an opportunity to start an ATM business and make money. And somebody has a location with high traffic that people need to use the ATM. And he just said yes, like it was nothing. Now, the machine cost somewhere around 12 to 2,000. I can't remember. 1,200 to 2,000, depending upon the site and the way you do it. I'll put the link in below of the site that I used if you're interested in this. So what I did, like I said, I have no money. I'm in the middle of a divorce, child support. I'm living with my dad. I'm dead. I have nothing, right? But I don't care. See, that's another thing y'all got to get out of this story. I didn't give a damn about my current situation. I didn't give a damn about bills and all I knew was this made sense to go here, and I'm going to see if he'll let me do it, okay? The rest will work itself out. You have to show you have faith with your actions, okay? So first thing I do is call up my friend, one of my friends that we do business together. We were always trying to do opportunities. Told her about it, and he said yes. She said, what? I said, do you want to go in with me? We'll get the machine, we'll go have. She said yes. Within the next 2 weeks, that machine was inside that car shop. Now, 2 weeks prior to that, I didn't even know how an ATM business worked. I did not know I had no idea that a car shop would be a place to put it. And I had no idea that a car shop would tell me yes, and I would be walking around saying I have an ATM business. It didn't matter. I went home. I built the website. I built the business cards. We were in business. Then, once we got that one in there, we put money in it. We found another spot, right? My dad had a friend that had a nail salon and a hair shop. I approached her. Hey, you want an ATM in your shop? Because women always come in with cash, right? They want to tip, whatever the case is. I'll keep it filled up for you. Boom, boom, boom. She said yes again. So now we have 2 machines. This happened within 1 to 2 months. I went from not even knowing about this opportunity to within the first 1 or 2 months of even knowing how it operates to having 2 locations with 2 machines, okay? So at the time, I'm at work. I'm working for the government at the shipyard. The location with the nail shop was about 5-minute drive from the shipyard. I was leaving work every day, lunch break, all the time to run over there and put money in the machine. Why? Because we didn't have a ton of money to start with. I didn't have thousands and thousands of dollars to fill the machine up and let it run. And then I was working literally with $500, $600, $700. Somebody go pull out 300. I'm like, oh, tomorrow I have to go refill this. Tomorrow I had to go. I was doing that. I was at work. I was checking you get an alert. It's low. I was leaving work to go refill the machine every day, every other day, every day. Both machines. The car one was close to my house. The nail salon one was close to my job, right? So I'm filling up both of these machines every few days. So I'm constantly in there. I'm seeing the owners of both spots. I'm constantly doing this. Now, do I recommend an ATM business to someone? Yes, but I don't recommend to do what I did, okay? I did it, and was it profitable? No, because I did not have enough capital, honestly, to make it sustainable and not outwork myself. I was just working to death, running back and forth, filling the machine up, running back and forth, filling the machine up, okay? So I ended up letting those 2 machines go, letting my friend take over that business when I decided to do a bigger business, which was I started my tech company and I came up with my app idea. I didn't want anything to take away my attention from building this app idea, so I let the ATMs go to her. She took that. She put the car shop one into a barber shop, and she put the other one, I'm not sure. She ended up, she ran with that. Now, what I want you to get out of this is not about money. It's not about that it was a successful ATM business as far as finances go, but it was definitely a success. You got to think, I found out some information. I saw a place and an opportunity that it would work. I approached with confidence. I got a yes. See, I know that we're trained that you're going to get a million no's. No, you might get a million no's if you're not ready. But if you're ready, if you assume the position, if you feel it in your heart and your soul and you act as if and you become, the world has no choice but to say yes. The doors and the pathway will open because you're so determined to get there and do it. The path is going to be clear. Now, what comes from that path, you don't know. But the fact that you have a chance to give it a shot is always available. I hope that story hit home for somebody. I hope you learned something in there. And I hope you understand when you want to do something, you have to decide that day, I am this. I am from now on this. And you fill in the blank. Leave a comment below after today. What are you? I am an ATM business owner. I am a YouTuber. I am a barber. I am whatever you guys are waiting and stuck and you're not making a decision. Leave a comment and say, after today, as of today, I am, and you fill in the blank. And I love to see the comments and I'm gonna respond to all of y'all. Hey, I hope you heard something and I hope you learned something. Until next time, let's go.